Hey, what's up ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I am of course back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more Let's Play of Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble for the Super Nintendo, and the Game Boy Advance as a remake. So, last time we basically just managed to finish up with the forms of Kremwood Forest, and today, for this episode, is the fact that we are moving on to the next world, which appears to be by the forms of, well, Mekanos. Well, before we get into this though, actually, we need to be able to head back over to this particular part right there, because there was that one particular side quest I totally forgot about. That, if you go over to Bazaar's general store, and since we keep on collecting those bear coins, and basically, we actually stumbled across 1 and 2 items. Well, both items, naturally. So we got ourselves our familiar shell, as well as the forms of the mirror. I believe if you managed able to try to purchase the shell, it actually cost about 5 bear coins. And as far as I'm aware, the mirror will actually cost 50 bear coins. So I don't think there's anything else we can able to collect at the moment, until specifically later down the road. So, now we need to head over back over to Lake Orangutango again, but this time we're gonna able to hop over to see Barnacle, the bear, once again, after the events of the first part, but now we can able to actually deliver the shelf to him, and if you did so already, then you would able to actually get yourselves the next banana bird. So, yeah, at least we are getting there for the sake of, like, collecting some more, you know, banana birds, essentially. So, yeah, I thought it was worth noting for the sake of time. And I believe that's, well, we pretty much all settled when it comes to, you know, everything else in, Lake Orangutango. So, either way, though, yeah, let's hop right into the forms of the third world for reals. Now, as I said before, you do have an option to either choose either this world we're about to be heading to right now, or the other level, which I'll save that up until specifically next Tuesday. Because the reason why I pointed out, well, I'll discuss more about it until any moment throughout the video. So, yeah, anyway, here we go. Fireball Frenzy. So, the first stage of this world. And as far as I'm aware, the actual world takes place in somewhat of a factory kind of world. And, yeah, that's pretty much about it. I mean, not gonna lie, that's as far as I can usually say about this for the most part. Although, to be fair, that we are potentially speaking that I think we've almost at the halfway point of the game. I can assure to that, though, that we pretty much almost at the halfway point throughout the majority of the game. Pretty much for the actual standpoints worth noting for. So, yeah, today's day's, I wouldn't say today it's the 10th today? I'm pretty sure it's the 10th of August today, so yeah, I don't know if I might as well guess that correctly, but I'm guessing that correctly, yeah, I thought so as well. So, yeah, anyway though, not much else to talk about because, well, usually I get the horrible feeling about the fact that with the August selections of games for the Nintendo Switch at the moment, it's going to be slightly bare bones at the moment. Well, it wasn't until next month, until September, that we will able to actually get some of these other titles like, you know, Sonic Colors Ultimate, and until about a month later that the WarioWare Get It Together for the Nintendo Switch will be releasing. So even then though, but hey, at least I'll take the traditional WarioWare game any day, then new forms of the black sheep of the series, which is Game & Wario for the Wii U, just because that game is pretty pricey at that point, especially in the UK releases. So, anyway, so let's head over to here, because there's the first bonus area that we can able to find. And basically, in addition to able to find ourselves the first bonus area on the stage, we actually stumbled across our familiar animal buddy, which I know it has been such a long time since I actually did manage to play some of the Donkey Kong Country games by this point. So basically, we got ourselves the familiar animal buddy ever since in Donkey Kong Country 2. So yeah, that seems pretty awesome though, especially noticeable about the fact that I'm pretty sure he plays out exactly like the forms of how it does in Donkey Kong Country 2. Like, you can still able to actually use to able to spit out or try to able to actually use these webs as projectiles, or in some cases you can able to actually create platforms by pressing the A button like twice. So at least I thought so anyway. So yeah, and this level's gimmick, as you can see, is the fact that these particular owls are trying to able to flying in the background, and basically they just constantly shoot out those fireballs at us. Well, added though is the fact that you can able to wait until the pattern itself is actually finished. Like for instance, you're trying to keep on shooting like 2 fireballs at the same time or something, or in some rare occasions they were able to do like 3 fireballs, and then basically you have to wait until when the attack firing thing ends. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. And as you can see, we've stumbled across our second bonus area on the stage, and basically we need to grab the usual 15 green bananas as far as I'm aware. So now here's the thing about this is the fact that one thing I totally forgot to mention, and that was the fact that yes, this game will have a cheat code system. And what it means by that is that if you try to insert one of those codes, mainly with for example, Mary, which is basically it's like a Christmas themed. So this means about the fact that I'm pretty certain it only affects on the Super Nintendo version, but I'm pretty sure the Game Boy Advance version does not include the Christmas cheat codes or something like that, sadly. But at the very least though, is the fact that in some of these bonus areas, that some of these green bananas will be replaced by these Christmas presents. And as far as I'm concerned, that these stars on a certain bonus areas were able to be replaced by certain Christmas baubles. So yeah, that seems a pretty cool little way to able to actually notice something like this, especially if you ever guys played this game during Christmas time or something. That will make a really nice little treatment right there, especially because, well, usually relatively speaking, that this game came out in 1996 in the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom, well, for those of you who lived in Japan, and then the Game Boy Advance version came out in 2005, so yeah, that might be summarized as such. So yeah, this level's not too bad. It's good to able to watch out for those fireballs coming out from that particular cannon shots from these little owls from the background. So, and every once in a while we have to avoid those little red, like, hedgehog-looking enemies and some stuff like that. Every once in a while, but hey, at least at the very least we finished the level, so how's that for that? So now we've gone for that, and now let's go ahead and, before we move on to the next level, here's Bazookas, Barracks. And basically, he's gonna tell us about the fact that, does he got a mustache of any sorts? Huh, how bizarre. Anyway though, yeah, he's trying to tell us something that we need a specific special item in order able to actually just to see another secret, but there's nothing we can do in there at the moment because we need to find out until later on. So, demolishing drain pipe. Now, if you guys remember from the likes of the minecart levels from Donkey Kong Country 1 and the roller coaster levels from Donkey Kong Country 2, well, this game is basically the equivalent to the minecart levels from the first game and the roller coaster levels from the second game, except now that it does manage to take place in the drain pipe. So, yeah, expect things a little bit tricky and difficult because you can't really tell what's usually ahead of you, and if you get hit right there, like I just did right there, basically we got ourselves another, well, the first bonus area, and we have to bash those specific enemies and what have you. So, yeah, self-explanatory, and it should be a piece of cake. Or, I should say, too easy, that was a piece of cake. Or something like that. So, yeah, I still haven't heard about the forms of how, in fact, I still haven't get a chance to see Sonic Colors Rise of the Wisps animated shorts kind of thing, because I will promise I will get around into it though, especially noticeable, I will let Mighty and Ray were able to actually mention something more about it until when they go back into Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, so yeah, I'm also able to get the gist of it. So anyways, I get the feeling that the next bonus area is gonna be... Ah, dang you stupid little bug-like enemy. Okay, whatever. At least we got the midway point at the very least, so... Yeah, I'm quite surprised that we're actually gonna be able to, like, win briefly for this, this world so far anyway. Well, assuming if we're able to actually focusing on one of those, fetch quests, all that stuff. Or these side quests and all that stuff, but hey. Alright, so we have to keep on moving and be sure to be very careful because sometimes that you have to pay attention to where the banana itself is located right there, because that actually signifies there was actually a bonus area. So good thing I did manage to saw that coming. So, and by the way, these bonus areas can be a bit tricky for those of you who have a first time playing these levels like this, because the actual, like, the bobsled part is actually ridiculously fast. Especially noticeable, it's kind of like, you know, the minecart levels and the roller coaster levels from the previous 2 games for sure. Although, until whenever we get into Donkey Kong Country Returns, along with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, that it will able to actually bring back the minecart levels, in addition to the forms of a new vehicle type, which we'll point it out until whenever we get around into those games. So, anyway, there's the coin right there, the coin enemy, as we've already knocked him out. And thankfully, it was actually at the end of the level, basically. So, yeah, nothing else to be more expected for this point. So, anyways, let's move on to the next level, which is Ripsaw Rage. And I believe we're going back into a tree environment in terms of those world themes. And oh my goodness gracious me, we actually have to run away from that massive saw. And if you manage to able to touch the saw, then you basically just lose your Kong. And thankfully, unlike in Mortal Kombat, that it doesn't do a massive gore or anything else like that for those of you kids are watching. So, anyway though, and yeah, this level can be pretty tricky for noticeable reasons. For one, that certain enemy placements might attempt to screw you up, and also you have to be fast on this though, because if you're too slow, then obviously you're probably not gonna survive for the rest of the whole entire level. So, in here, the first bonus area is right there, so you're just gonna have to use the barrel and take down these specific enemies to go through. And basically, in this particular bonus area is the fact that you have to reach at the very top without even touching the actual sword part. Although, I'm pretty sure that if you actually mess up the actual bonus areas or something, basically that you won't be able to actually just restart the thing again. So, something's worth classified for mentioning that. So, anyway, so now we got the first bonus area out of the way, even though, mind you, there's going to be a second one in here somewhere. So, yeah, that's pretty much as far as I can say about this level. Ah, darn it! Okay, whatever. At least we got the midway point, so yeah, it's a good thing we've managed to activate that checkpoint barrel, so that should be good to go. So, anyway, as far as you already know, is the fact that ever since during the forms of when Mighty and Ray have already mentioned about this already, ever since in Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury playthrough, basically that recently the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games has been officially come to an end. So, and I really do enjoy it though, especially noticeable. I'm sure that Mighty and Ray have already said that they absolutely enjoyed a whole bunch of events throughout. Especially noticeable with some of these new events, like, you know, skateboarding and surfing and sports climbing, baseball, including softball as well, and also karate as well. Although, mind you, I haven't exactly watched every single event because, unfortunately for the UK players, or in some cases on the UK audiences, they have to watch some of these events during the midnight time, and as a result, I couldn't even, like, do that. Although, mind you, I'm an adult hedgehog after all, but regardless of everything else though, that's as far as I can actually retain from it. So anyways, here's the second bonus area, and what's cool about this bonus area is the fact that you'll be invincible for the whole time, thanks to the forms of that particular exclamation mark barrel, which allows you to become invincible, so that way you don't get any much harm from that saw itself. And in that particular bonus area that we've already did is, as usual, collecting, you know, the green bananas and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's pretty much summarized as such. And I believe if you hop over to the well-hidden barrel, as you saw for about a few seconds ago, that way, oh, another invincibility barrel thing. Okay, that seems kind of cool. And because of that, we're able to actually deal with the coin enemy. And hopefully, as soon as we knock him out with the steel barrel, and we get ourselves another DK hero coin. So, how's that for that? Yeah, it only took me about 2 attempts on that level, despite with that despicable death on that little, you know, accidentally knock onto the actual, like, underneath the tree branch, which it would become solid by then, so... Anyway, so we got 5 banana boats so far, and we've actually got 32% done. So, yeah, it looks like we are getting there, and she is once again playing Super Mario 64, because I can tell from that particular Peach's Castle theme. So, it's actually kind of nice to be able to actually hear the Super Nintendo version of that music, so... Anyway, Blazing Bazookas. I'm presuming what the actual level its name is called anyway. And the main gimmick of this level is these little enemies that are trying to shoot out these different kinds of barrel types. Specifically, the dangerous ones out of them all, though, is the TNT barrels. And occasionally they'll shoot out the normal regular barrels, and eventually they're able to stumble across the forms of certain, like, switches that were able to actually change specific barrels what they're about to shoot at. So even then though, actually before we get into this though, we need to concentrate here, so just in case we're able to actually access to one of those animal bodies right there. So in this case though, we do need to use him for the majority of the time, especially... Excuse me. Especially noticeable of this particular DK Hero coin right there. And how do you solve this? Well, we need to create some of these spiderweb platforms, and then, as you saw, there was actually that particular switch that actually changes specific barrels of what they're trying to fire at. Such as, for instance, we need to still require a steel barrel, because with the normal barrels, won't able to do a thing at all. So yeah, you have to able to be sure you have to use that a lot for, you know, certain scenarios and all that stuff though, especially noticeable whenever we get into, like, towards at the very end of the game, then I'm sure that most people already know what I'm gonna try to say here. So, anyways, here's the first bonus area, which does require, that particular, well, Winkly the Spider or something like that. I'm guessing that's what his name, but then again, it has been such a long time since I actually did manage the last time I played Donkey Kong Country 2 or Donkey Kong Land 2 for the Game Boy. Well, because mind you, I have to sort out with the actual saving battery problem for my repurchasable item from that eBay seller. So, because I remember got screwed over back in 2020 last year. Well, between, you know, Donkey Kong Land 2 and Wario Land 3, that those are the only Game Boy games I somehow got screwed over by the forms of a dead safe battery. But thankfully we solved that problem thanks to the forms of, well, buying those games again, but in the forms of somewhat of a, well, redundancy of how the fact that how pricey these things are every now and then. So, after able to do that little particular risk assessment, but regardless of such though, it is worth it at the end, at least to me anyway. So anyways, let's go ahead and continue on here, and so far we've got 42 extra lives, which is great, especially noticeable until eventually later on it gets a bit slightly tougher. Although, mind you, is that unfortunately though, much like in Donkey Kong Country 1 and Donkey Kong Country 2, if you manage to reset the game, or specifically reset your Super Nintendo, and try to continue where you left off after when you save the game, unfortunately though, your lives will still reset back to, well, let's just say 5 lives, or technically 6, because if you think that you're about to be able to get a game over if your lives counter is at 0, but it turns out that you got 1 chance left if your lives counter says 0, so, but if it doesn't show a number at all, this means instant game over, so I just want to classify that. Although, I'm pretty sure that unlike in, I don't know about you, but I know it has been such a long while since I actually did manage to able to, like, you know, going back to Donkey Kong Country these days, which is pretty much true because of how the fact that I was been playing. Although recently, throughout the past few days, I managed to went back into new Pokemon Snap recently. Although I'll get to more in a second. Low G Lapwith. And in this level, we're going back into a tube environment level of any sort. And in this level's gimmick is that we are on low gravity. So this means about the fact that every single movement will be a bit slower, and to top it all off, you're able to jump a bit higher. So this means that you're able to have low gravity on you. So because of that, you have to be very careful with this though, especially noticeable with how the fact that if you accidentally manage to able to become like, well, super hasty on that front, then basically you're probably gonna guarantee that it drains your lives quickly if you're not careful. So Yeah, because I essentially went back into new Pokemon Snap recently, and because thanks to the forms of their new update, a free update if you will, that it managed to allows me to actually access to new areas. So that's pretty awesome though, especially noticeable that thankfully it does not require a, you know, paid DLC or something like that, which is awesome. Especially noticeable about the fact that since I haven't touched that game for a while, but at the very least I can finally able to go back into that game again after, like, you know, start playing Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 from now on, just because the Olympic events or the Olympic Games of Tokyo 2020 is already finished. So at least we're glad we can able to see that though, because if it does cancel out completely, then we'll be really ticked off. But thankfully it's like delayed. Or postponed, I should say, back in, like, you know, last year or something, so... But, you know, it knows where it stands, so, anyway. And as you can see, we can able to take control of the forms of Squirks the bird, and basically, as you can tell, that he was actually in different color, which meaning that he was actually in purple. And the only differences between the forms of the green counterparts than the purple variations of the Squirks the parrot is that, well... I'm sure that most people already know what I was going to try to say, well, assuming we're able to continue throughout this whole level, so... But of course we still need to be careful though, because obviously with all these enemies and all that stuff. So yeah, what these purple squirks can do, basically you can able to pick up the forms of barrels, and you can able to actually use those barrels to pick them up, and basically you can able to actually hit enemies with. So yeah, that seems pretty cool. Even though unlike the green counterparts though, you can able to actually shoot projectiles while you're dealing with enemies. So that seems pretty cool though. And yeah, you probably get the idea about that. So yeah, another thing is worth noting for is the fact that usually relatively speaking, actually, I have to be honest with you, there's not much else I can talk about for the sake of today's video. Although, mind you, that, you know, Mighty and Ray already mentioned about the forms of a lot of stuff since yesterday. Although, until tomorrow, that they will mention a lot of stuff. And especially noticeable about the fact that until tomorrow, anyway, that, oh, and by the way, there's the second bonus area right there. And basically, we can able to switch over to the purple Squirks into green Squirk. Which is pretty cool, if you ask me, if we're able to do a transition between, you know, two different color variations of this little animal body here. So yeah, that seems top-notch. So anyway, until tomorrow anyway, is the fact that I'm sure that Mighty and Ray has already mentioned about it, but I'm probably not going to mention it for the sake of this video anyway. So in this case though, is that the next tour for Mario Kart Tour is going to be on its way until tomorrow. So because of that though, I still can't even believe that particular game is going to get a lot more supportive in comparison to the forms of likely for Dr. Mario World, which by that time until, I would classify for saying like, next 3 months or somewhat lesser than 3 months now, that that game will no longer able to actually become playable again, which is kind of sucks if you ask me. Although mind you, I barely remember the game all that much though, just because... Well, I used to like it back in the day, but not anymore sadly, just because, well, it's just a bit too much for my taste. Especially noticeable how the fact that I'm not a big fan of how, although I will say that the doctor's decisions is kind of cool, even though some of them are bizarre, like, you know, I found it's way too odd that, you know, Dr. Dolphin is one of the doctors, and same applies to, well, Dr. Blooper. I mean, that is, like, so odd. Yeah, heck, even with the forms of, Dr. Goomba Tower is even way weirder, because obviously that Goomba has no hands at all, so... I have no idea why. Anyway, so as you can tell, that, we've managed to able to actually just, well, almost come towards the end of this level, so you just have to watch out for those enemies now, and if you try to dodge it well enough, like I just did right there, then we've finished the level. So, pretty cool stuff. So, yeah, before we finish off this world completely, we'll go ahead and save our game quickly, so just in case we weren't able to lose our progressioning here, and it looks like she's still playing Super Mario 64, and we're actually on 36% done. So, even then though, I'm thinking that we've almost at the 50% mark. Well, specifically until the next few worlds anyway. So, Alright, Kuro's Carnage. I think that's what the actual, the level itself is called anyway. Even though, mind you, it's been such a long while. This appears to be a robot. Bzzz, click, Kong's enemy. You must be destroyed. So yeah, basically we have the forms of Mekanos or Chaos itself, or something like that. Or maybe I just mispronounced that, I do apologize for that. So basically in this entire boss fight, it's actually kind of easy. So basically all you have to do is basically you have to dodge his like flame fuse in the actual bottom part. Like you have to jump on the exact moment in time. And basically, after a while that he managed able to stay put on certain spots, then basically we need to hop onto these little spinning like blades of any sorts. And basically if you go like slightly towards at the very top of its head, it's your chance to able to actually just to jump on its head. So yeah, it's a pretty simple and easy boss fight, although it does have two phases. So for instance, we're on the first phase of the fight. So basically the first phase is actually pretty simple and self-explanatory until you're able to actually start to realize until whenever we get into the second phase that I'm sure that most people already know what's going to come up next. Although there's actually that kind of annoying obstacle that you have to avoid, such as the actual boxing glove of any sorts, and basically after we're done with 3 hits on him, then basically the actual real phase is actually pops up. So basically we have to do the usual thing, except that if you really want to able to survive this fight, then basically after when you jump on his head, and basically this particular helmet thing will decide to able to fire lasers at you. So it's all about timing though, because obviously if you don't time it in the right moments of worth noting for, then you're probably gonna lose the Kong anyway. But honestly, I think this boss fight is actually kind of fun, and it's actually really easy too. Especially noticeable that just like in you know, Belch boss fights, you know, with the actual Belch barrel boss fight, and, well, it's just a matter of the fact that, well, thankfully we don't need to worry about the forms of chaotic projectiles all over the place. So, after doing enough hits on him, so, yeah. Kongs win. Do not compete. Next time we meet, Kuros will return, or will win. Or anything else like that. I know it's been such a long while. So anyways, we got ourselves, apparently it's like a ski part. So I guess that's pretty much summarized as such. So either way though, it looks like this world is fully 100%. Well, not exactly just yet though. So I guess as far as I'm aware, we're at the endings up here. So join me next time until next Tuesday for more of Let's Play of Donkey Kong Country 3. Instead, we'll head over to the next world, which is Cotton Top Cove. So, this should be interesting to say the least. So yeah, I'll see you guys, as I said, next Tuesday. Later, fellas.